The family man was a real thing for when he was selling that image, but somewhere along the way, Phil lost his focus. He became fixated on Pat Perez's wife, Ashley.
I don't know how he comes back from this, and there's a lot of litigation, and you really don't understand the full story yet. What happened with Phil Mickelson?
Pat gets up to use the restroom, and Phil pulls out his phone and he shows a picture to Ashley. It's a nude selfie. He's fully erect. He's flexing a bicep.
When 35 years of loyalty burn down in a single week, it is never just about one mistake. For decades, Amy Mickelson stood in the gallery as the silent pillar behind one of golf's biggest legends, enduring public gambling scandals, massive financial losses, and endless headlines. But when Ashley Perez went on the record with shocking detailed allegations about what happened behind closed doors, a dam finally broke. Suddenly, the narrative of the forgiving wife dissolved, and Amy took matters into her own hands to expose the truth about a man who seemed to have completely lost his grip on reality.
The story about Ashley Perez, that was not consensual. The other source who I quote in the story was at a dinner party when Phil was using the most lewd and graphic language, and she was so uncomfortable. She said her whole body was sweating.
What began as whispers behind closed doors at exclusive country clubs exploded into an unstoppable chain reaction, permanently dismantling a multi-million-dollar image and revealing a pattern of behavior that left even his closest allies speechless. To understand how complete this collapse really is, you have to look at the psychological foundation of the man himself. For more than 30 years, he wasn't just a successful athlete. He was the charismatic alternative to Tiger Woods, the fan-favorite family man with an infectious smile and an untouchable public persona. Millions of fans rallied around his daring, high-risk play on the course, unaware that the same reckless impulse control was quietly governing his private life. Behind the warm waves to the gallery lay a world dominated by extreme gambling losses that reportedly reached close to $100 million. Yet despite the financial stress and public humiliation of those gambling revelations, his inner circle kept the walls intact. The public bought into the story of redemption, believing that a devoted husband and loving father was simply battling a single tragic vice.
The way he plays the game, all the gambling stuff. I mean, this guy has made not talking about how much money he has, because there's all these, rumors or whatever about how much money he's squandered, but how much he's earned in his career. He didn't need to gamble that stuff. He didn't need to go to live golf. Like, none of this had to happen.
I mean, there's an incredible quote from a person who was a very close friend of Phil's, saying, he's just a dopamine addict. He does everything for the dopamine.
But as the summer unfolded, the illusion shattered, revealing that the gambling was merely the tip of a much deeper, far more destructive iceberg. The catalyst that brought this entire structure crashing down was the decision by Ashley Perez to break years of silence. Speaking directly about an incident that occurred back in 2015 at a luxury golf villa, she detailed a moment that exposed a jarring lack of boundaries. According to her account, while sitting on a balcony late at night drinking wine after a dinner gathering, an explicit, highly inappropriate photograph was displayed on a smartphone screen without her consent, accompanied by an unmistakable late-night proposition. To protect her husband's career and avoid immediate chaos during an ongoing tournament, Ashley chose not to escalate the situation that night. However, the event left a permanent scar.
2015 Barclays tournament in New Jersey. Phil was a member at Liberty National. He's staying at this big villa. I think it has 4 bedrooms. And he calls Ashley, not Pat, and says, hey, why don't you guys move into this villa? I've got plenty of space. At some point, Pat gets up to use the restroom, and Phil pulls out his phone and he shows a picture to Ashley. It's a nude selfie. He's fully erect. He's flexing a bicep.
Years later, when corroborating evidence surfaced, including a recorded 26-minute phone conversation where a tearful, desperate apology was offered, the truth was undeniable. Ashley's decision to put her name on the record was a tactical strike against a culture of silence, encouraging other women to step forward and proving that reputation and wealth no longer grant immunity. While Ashley Perez provided the spark, it was Amy Mickelson who delivered the decisive blow to his private sanctuary. For years, rumors had circulated about a private clubhouse condominium inside the ultra-exclusive Madison Club in Palm Springs, a dimly lit, leather-furnished retreat decorated with career trophies that functioned as a covert getaway. While the world assumed it was a quiet place to practice and relax away from the spotlight, reports surfaced that it was being used to host overnight guests, while his family was nowhere near the property.
In Phil's case, there's these 3 very exclusive private clubs where he's no longer a member.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
significant.
his personal conduct was a big factor. And that these clubs love having a Hall of Fame golfer.
When the truth reached Amy, she didn't wait for a public statement or a crisis management team to spin the story. In a quiet, calculated move, she personally contacted the club's wealth management representatives and demanded that his membership be revoked immediately. The man who had spent decades navigating the toughest golf courses on earth was abruptly kicked out of his own sanctuary. Not by club executives, but by the very woman who had protected his legacy for over 3 decades. As more details emerged, the psychological profile shifted from simple impulsivity to a bizarrely calculated system of deception. At another elite facility, the Bridges in Rancho Santa Fe, staff members uncovered an operational trick that left the entire sporting world stunned. To maintain the appearance of being hard at work on the driving range while secretly slipping away for unauthorized rendezvous, he reportedly paid a golf cart attendant $500 an afternoon to carry his personal cell phone around the 18-hole course. For hours, his live location tracker showed him moving steadily from tee to green, creating a flawless digital alibi for anyone tracking his whereabouts. This detail hit the public hardest because it destroyed the narrative of a man making heat-of-the-moment mistakes. It demonstrated a cold, methodical infrastructure designed entirely to maintain a double life while deceiving those who trusted him most. The breaking point for his physical presence on the golf course occurred shortly after at the Farms Golf Club in Rancho Santa Fe. During what was supposed to be a routine round, a female employee reported an incident involving non-consensual and highly inappropriate physical interaction prior to tee-off.
According to this Golf Digest report citing anonymous sources, Mickelson approached a woman at the Farms Golf Club outside San Diego this past spring and allegedly made, quote, non-consensual and inappropriate physical contact.
Club management acted instantly. Rather than waiting for the round to finish or sweeping the complaint under the rug out of respect for his legendary status, officials drove out onto the course, intercepted him mid-round, and instructed him to pack his clubs and leave the property immediately. Faced with formal disciplinary action, his legal team quietly processed his resignation shortly after. When a country club escorts one of its most famous long-term members off the course in broad daylight, the message is clear. The behavior had crossed a line that no amount of star power could erase. Outside the gates of these exclusive clubs, the public facade was cracking just as fast. Official press representatives scrambled to release damage control statements, claiming that Amy was standing by her husband with extraordinary grace and unwavering love while he attended to an unspecified private matter. But reality painted a very different picture. Within days, photographers spotted Amy out in public with her daughter, noticeably absent of her wedding ring. In the world of high-profile celebrity crises, the sudden disappearance of a wedding ring after 35 years of marriage is an unmistakable declaration. It signaled to the public and the media that the era of quiet endurance was officially over.
He dined out on that for a long time, and I think it was sincere. I think that he was invested in the lives of his family, and I think that he did love Amy and vice versa, and they had a real bond. But it just feels like something changed as he got into his mid to late 40s.
The woman who had sacrificed her own privacy to stand by him through thick and thin was openly drawing a line in the sand, refusing to play the role of the dutiful spouse any longer. This personal unraveling instantly spilled over into his professional career, resulting in a sports collapse never before seen at the highest level of the game.
Three-time Masters winner Phil Mickelson is no longer a member at a golf club outside San Diego. He's banned. A woman who works there accused him of inappropriate conduct.
For the first time in his legendary professional history, he failed to appear in a single major championship in a calendar year. He withdrew from the Masters citing a vague family health issue, missed the PGA Championship as his former winter exemption quietly expired, sat out the U.S. Open, and pulled out of the Open Championship entirely. In addition to missing the 4 crown jewels of professional golf, he abruptly withdrew from international events in Riyadh and Adelaide, leaving fans and tournament organizers in the dark. The complete absence of concrete details regarding the mysterious family health matter only fueled intense speculation across the sports community, as fans realized that the star they had watched for decades had effectively vanished from the sport he once dominated. Behind closed doors in the corporate golf world, the walls were closing in from every angle. Before these personal scandals reached a fever pitch, friction was already mounting between him and top executives over the future structure of professional golf. During high-stakes summit meetings, heated arguments broke out over player exemptions, schedule overhauls, and the financial viability of competing global leagues. His aggressive warnings about player exclusion and tour management fell on deaf ears as executives grew weary of his constant defiance, with financial predictions pointing toward massive restructuring across rival leagues and major sponsors pulling their support. His leverage in the sport evaporated almost overnight. The very industry that once bent over backwards to accommodate his demands was now actively moving on without him. In response to the overwhelming wall of evidence, official statements from his camp attempted to minimize the fallout, calling the investigative reports a drive-by hit and claiming that many of the allegations were either false or rehashed past mistakes that had already been settled privately. Statements emphasized that his sole priority was taking time away from the game to become the husband and father his family deserved. But for millions of observers, the apology arrived far too late. You cannot dismiss recorded phone calls, canceled memberships at multiple elite clubs, eyewitness testimony from fellow pros' families, and the physical removal of a wedding ring as a simple media exaggeration. The intricate web of misdirection, paid alibis, and hidden retreats had finally collapsed under its own weight, leaving a once unshakable legacy in complete ruin. What makes this story so fascinating from a psychological standpoint is how absolute the fall from grace has been. It serves as a stark reminder of what happens when privilege, ego, and an unchecked sense of invulnerability collide with accountability. For over 30 years, the public believed in the charm, the thumbs up to the crowd, and the fairy tale marriage. But when brave voices like Ashley Perez speak out, and when long-suffering partners like Amy Mickelson finally decide that enough is enough, the truth has a way of cutting through decades of carefully crafted public relations. The legend didn't just stumble. He built the very machinery that caused his own downfall piece by piece until there was nowhere left to hide. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.